Hi, this is Anna Crowe with the Get Real podcast, where CEOs, CMOs, and communications experts share their real advice. It's 6 questions under 9 minutes because we get to it real fast. So let's get to it. Thrilled to have today's guest on. David, in a few sentences, could you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure, Anna, and thank you for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me. I'm Dave Kekich, founder of Maximum Life Foundation, and Maximum Life Foundation was formed in 1999 as a nonprofit organization dedicated to reversing aging, not by itself, but helping reversing aging in humans by 2033.
Wow, you guys are doing some remarkable work. Dave, what would you say is the best thing about being a leader in your industry?
I don't look at myself as a leader in the industry. A lot of other people do. I think of myself as part of a growing, active, dedicated, motivated team to reverse aging. And when I started this whole process about 30 years ago informally, and formally since 1999, we were looked at as kooks by the people who even paid attention to us. Very few reputable scientists thought it was possible to reverse human aging. Virtually nobody was funding it. And it was a long, hard struggle from that point on. But over the past 5 years, maybe 7 years, it's gotten a lot of momentum. We're starting to see favorable reports in the media. A lot of credible scientists are now agreeing that it's possible. We've come up with a strategy, scientific strategy on how to do it, and money is pouring into it. Not enough, we always need more, but money, a lot of investors, billionaires are now wanting to live for a long time, and I'm glad to say that investment funds are coming in and donations.
That is great news. Good for you guys. That's awesome to hear. I hear from other successful executives that creating authentic connections can be challenging when it's really noisy. And I'm discussing connections with your team or customers, partners, etc. I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, with our team, it really hasn't changed. We've been virtual the whole time. We've gotten more of that as we're gaining momentum, as I said. More conferences, more Zoom calls like this. With clients, and the clients that I'm talking about specifically are those who are taking advantage of today's technologies to reverse their aging, or at least partially reverse their aging or reverse aspects of it. For the most part, have to be part of the medical tourism industry. And that's a challenge now with COVID. People are reluctant to travel and some borders are closing.
Right, that makes sense. Do you have any real advice? I mean, it could be related for the current time or just in general. Any advice for other executives and leaders if there's anything else you think is really important?
I always have advice, not that anybody ever listens to me, but I actually wrote a book called Master Life, and that's full of advice. It's 100 points. It's called Kekich's Credo. I think the main thing would be that if you're not passionate about what you're doing, and I'm saying totally committed, passionate to what you're doing, you're never going to be able to motivate your employees, your associates, anybody else related to you. And if you don't have that passion, do something else.
That's amazing advice. I love that. And you're so right. It's so simple, but so powerful. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they come to work, they do what they're supposed to do. And perhaps they ask, well, why am I not inspiring someone? Right. And it's very transparent when someone doesn't want to be there or isn't that passionate. So I love that.
Absolutely. And we've all heard that before, but it's something that you think about. Really analyze yourselves very carefully and thoroughly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you bring that back to the genuine self. What's really important to you, what drives you, what motivates you, what gets you excited, and that, catapulting the inspiration for others and being a great leader. So
that's
thank
where
you.
It all starts and ends.
Very cool. Well, before we get to our final question, are there any other successful executives such as yourself that you would like to give a shout out to or think should be on this podcast?
I think a really good guest would be Liz Parrish. Liz formed a company called BioViva Sciences, and it's a gene therapy company related to curing aging and aging diseases.
Mhm.
So if you'd like me to, I could connect you.
Yeah, I'd love that. That's
Okay.
perfect. Very cool. Well, our last question is more of a fun one. A little bit of a background on how you got started. Could you tell us about your first job?
Well, my first job where I learned anything, my first job was working for the telephone company as a communications consultant out of college, other than my part-time jobs growing up as a kid. Uh, but the only job where the first job, I should say, where I really learned something about marketing, about business, about life was door-to-door sales. I was selling cookware door to door for about a year and a half. And believe me, that was an experience that was worth gold.
I bet that's a very humbling experience, I'm sure, and a great sales experience and
Yeah,
customer
after
service
the
all in
best.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Well, how could people get a hold of you or learn more about what you're doing?
Well, they can go to maxlife, maxlife.org. That's my Maximum Life Foundation website, and it's all there.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you joining today, and everyone else, thanks for tuning in. This is Anna Crowe with Get Real. For any questions or any insights, visit us at crowepr.com.
Thanks so much, Anna.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.